Hello, sisters. Welcome back to another episode of the Sacred Sisterhood podcast. And today I have felt such a deep call within me to speak about how we can stand in our power in a time that much of the world is feeling out of their power. And this is a conversation, this is a message for light workers, for healers, for starseed, for way showers, to remind them of why they're here. At the time of this recording, we are in the week of the presidential election in America. And here in the EU, I'm speaking to you from Austria. We are under lockdown again, and there's been a lot of big world events lately, and I'm feeling a lot of wobbles in the sisters, the priestesses, the healers, the way showers that, I surround myself with every day in the online spaces and so forth, because, we have been in months of, you could say, collective chaos, and the nervous system has definitely taken a hit. And so as things have really, really amped up and intensified in November here, we're in Scorpio season. We just went through the Samhain portal. As things have been amping up and intensifying, I'm just noticing that light workers kind of need a little bit of a boost. Healers and priestesses, starseeds, way showers, we need a little boost and a reminder that we are very, very powerful, and a reminder that we are here on this planet at this time for this time to be anchoring the light, to be ushering in the new earth frequencies. And so what we're seeing is, as basically humanity is on the fourth dimensional bridge, and as we stand holding the fifth dimensional frequencies of new earth, it's very easy for us to get caught back up in the fourth dimensional tornado. It's very easy for us to overexpose ourselves to truth-seeking topics, truth-seeking stories. It's very easy to overexpose ourselves to what's going on within the political aspect right now on a global scale. Here in the EU, there's been a rise in attacks of terror, and one being quite close to me here in Austria. And so I want us to just first off take a great big deep breath and give ourselves acceptance and love for the places that we have felt a lot of energy leaks, the places that we have felt where we're out of our power, places that we have forgotten who we are. And just give that version of ourselves love and acceptance, but also lean into that. I very much speak a lot about the masculine and the feminine, and that the divine masculine within us is that sword of strength along our spine, in which the divine feminine serpent, the Kundalini energy, dances around up the spine. And so that divine masculine within us reminds us to be that pillar of strength within ourselves, to stay grounded and centered no matter what chaos appears to be happening in the external reality. Okay, so I want to remind you that what we are seeing is a stage. It's a world stage. It's a play. It's a movie. It's illusion after illusion after illusion, all cluster. I'm about to swear, so if you got little kids, put in your earbuds. A big clusterfuck of 4D chaos, of all sorts of dark agendas and corruption and so forth. But I want to remind you that we are seeing the dismantling of systems in order to make way for this new earth frequency, the new earth to come in, the new earth templates. And just like things get quite messy on our own healing journeys, it gets kind of chaotic and we're in this purge process before we can call in more light. That is what's happening right now. We're seeing all of the shadow, all the density come up to surface for us to look at as it's being exposed, as the light is shining through it so that it can dissolve into higher frequencies. So I want to remind you that what we're seeing reflected externally on a world stage is a distraction from the light that you are here to anchor. It's a distraction to keep humanity anchored in fear so that they can be controlled. And it's a complete massive mechanism to distract us from our ascension, to distract us from the beautiful, lucid frequencies that are pouring down on Earth right now. And if you're not feeling these frequencies that I'm talking about, take 10 to 20 minutes every single day in a room without electronics, without your phone, without meditation music, and just sit and breathe with your eyes closed and feel the energy. It is potent. Once you tap into it, your face starts tingling and you just feel so much opening. Such beautiful opening. It feels angelic, crystalline. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And it's like this palpable energy that we can play with and create and tap into these new earth realities, these new earth fifth dimensional frequencies. But what's going on the 3D, 4D level is designed to slow humanity's ascension to tap into those frequencies. It's designed to keep us distracted from remembering who the fuck we are as powerful beings of source light. Okay? So how we can stand in our power during a time where there's all of these factors outside of us that are trying to make us feel powerless is owning your frequency and deciding to really ground in and anchor into your own inner vortex, your own inner reality. That's your own personal bubble, your own connection to your truth, connection to source, connection to God, goddess, however you want to say it, your own grounding into the Great Mother, into Gaia, your own frequency, your own connection with your spirit team. Okay? It's really owning your own frequency and choosing what frequency and what consciousness you're going to operate from, because that is how we help humanity shift. The more of us that are holding those new earth frequencies, the more of us that are holding at new earth, higher consciousness, non-duality, looking through everything through a lens of non-judgment, but rather a lens of love and acceptance, the more of us that hold that, the faster new earth is going to come in. And new earth is already here. It's available to us. It's just a matter of fine-tuning our frequency and tapping into it and not allowing ourselves to get distracted and wobbly from the outside world. And it's okay if you've been wobbly, and it's okay if you've been getting distracted. There's so much information getting plummeted towards us that it's designed for that. So it's okay. Just deep breath, recollect, realign as often as you have to, and move forward. Okay? So your frequency, it's what you choose to find sweetness in right now. Okay, so that's why I'm saying it's very important to really ground into your own inner reality, your own home space, your own little family bubble, whatever family dynamic you have. Perhaps you're single, perhaps you have a partner, perhaps you have a dog, whatever it is. Ground into that own immediate reality and choose to find sweetness in the moment. Perhaps it's that you have a roof over your head, that you have heat to warm up your home this winter. Perhaps it's the fact that you're still working. Whatever it is, maybe it's the fact that you and your partner have really deepened your connection with each other because you've had so much extra time and you're not, socializing as much and so forth. So you're in your this little beautiful cocoon with your partner and your lover, where you've actually had time to get intimate and have time to really communicate and deepen your relationship. You know, it could be that, 5-minute dance before you hop in the shower to some 90s music or whatever. Like, it could be baking cookies, it could be just watching the season change. Here in Austria, the leaves have just finished changing color, and there's still a few leaves left on the tree, but it's just like that last like fire energy of all these beautiful colors before everything kind of saturates and the color is drawn out of the leaves and everything dies off. So there's that sweet taste right before we move into winter. When you have those warm, or I guess we're in November now, those warm November days of like 13 degrees where the sun is shining and you're like, yes, and you just savor that sweetness, knowing that by this time next month it could be snow on the ground, or for my fellow Canadians, you already got snow on the ground. So the more we ground into ourselves, the more we ground into our little inner vortexes, the more we own our frequency and choose what frequency and consciousness we operate from, we're able to respond to these events that are happening in the external reality rather than react. And that's the whole world stage is designed to have people in a place of reaction. The stories that they are spewing out is to keep people in fear so that they can keep people controlled, right? And so this isn't to shame yourself and be like, oh shit, yeah, I've totally been reacting to the events that are happening in America with the election right now, or totally am reacting to, forced mandatory masks and so forth. This isn't a place to judge yourself, but to actually like look at, okay, I love and accept myself. I recognize that I've been giving my power away. I recognize that I've been allowing my energy to leak to external circumstances, but I choose in this now moment to seal off that leak and to ground in to my desired reality, to ground into the fifth dimensional and above frequencies that are fully available to me in abundance. Yeah? So, how we can really own our power and hold our power in this time is to do the things that bring you pockets of joy. Do the things that bring you pockets of gratitude. It could be snuggling your dog. It could be cooking. It could be baking. It could be dancing around your kitchen, having amazing sex, salt baths. For you, it might be chocolate and wine and a really great rom-com. To me, that's very therapeutic. Chocolate, wine, and good rom-com. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. And just give yourself space every day to allow yourself to drink up that nectar of love and nourishment from the divine. Allow yourself to sip up, drink up those frequencies that are available to us. And I'm not saying to spiritually bypass what's going on outside of the world. I am very aware of what's going on outside of the world, but there's a point where you are overexposing yourself to things outside of yourself that is keeping you anchored into an old, outdated reality. Yeah? If you want to call in this next level, this fifth dimensional fruitfulness that's available to you, you're going to have to stop giving your energy away to an old paradigm that's dismantling, that's crumbling. You don't have to watch it burn all day, every day long. Yes to staying informed, yes to knowing what's going on out there, but reality is nobody really knows what truly is going on because there are millions and millions of timelines available, possible timelines and realities. We live in a quantum universe, millions, trillions of perceptions. And at the end of the day, we don't know really what is going on within the 4D folds, within the 4D realm of corruption and stories and all of these webs and layers, right? So I want to remind you that you are here to hold the light and to keep faith for the highest timeline of humanity. and to witness and love yourself and your fears like you would a parent would a child. Okay, like recognizing, okay, yeah, I totally got triggered by something that was said, of, a threat that was made to humanity or whatever. Definitely got triggered. But I choose to not buy into that timeline. I choose to not give it any more energy because I don't want to see that reflected in my reality. So I'm not going to give it any energy. I'm not going to worry about something that hasn't happened. Okay? And just remind yourself that you are safe and you are sovereign. So really just look at, where are you giving your power away? Where are you leaking your energy? Are you giving your power away to the fact that there's mandatory masks? I've been under mandatory masks here in Austria since March, other than I think they gave us 6 weeks maybe in the summertime where it wasn't mandatory. And I'm still sovereign. Even though I have to wear a mask everywhere I go, I am still sovereign. I get to choose whether or not putting on this mask is going to affect my vibration. And I understand all the perspectives that people have around the mask situation. I understand it. But the energy that you give away fighting it could be energy used to hold and center your vibration, to help elevate the consciousness of humanity, to help elevate your own reality. Okay? So, are you giving so much energy worrying yourself sick about a forced vaccine? We don't know if there's going to be forced vaccines or not, but even so, I want to remind you that you are sovereign and you get to decide how harmful that vaccine is to you. Okay, you are sovereign. Just like how we bless and release our food of toxins, of GMOs, and we can pretty much make a piece of food organic without it actually being grown organic with our intention, you can do the same if you come into a situation where maybe for your job or for travel or whatever that you have to get this vaccine. You get to decide whether or not that vaccine is going to be hell for you or whether it's going to be no big deal. And it's, you've put protection in your body to flush it out and so forth. You get to decide. This is the thing. You are sovereign. You are sovereign. Here we are under lockdown, second lockdown. We're under curfew and we're under mandatory masks. But I'm pretty predominantly operating in new earth timelines. I'm feeling silly. I'm feeling happy. I'm feeling blissful. It doesn't mean that I don't wobble. I certainly wobble. I wobbled quite a bit earlier this week when there was a terrorist attack in Vienna. And I also felt very, very uncomfortable with this second lockdown. Like, I can feel that there's shady operations happening, 100%. And so my intuition is going off red alert, red alert, red alert, red alert. But then I was reminded this week that that's a 3D, a 4D reality. There is a fifth dimensional reality available to us. And we just have to, it's kind of like a radio, just fine tune and just fine-tune our frequency into that fifth dimensional reality, and wow, is it beautiful. It's blissful, it's expansive, it's abundant, it's creative, it's love. So I get to choose how much energy I spend spinning out, feeling like, yo, this lockdown feels effed up, or I get to choose to bake cookies, drink some wine, dance with my husband, make love, watch some Netflix, create, focus my energy on my business, keep the highest timeline unfolding for all of humanity in my heart center, and trust that we are well on our way to that, because we are. We are. Everything is still right on time. It's still right on time. So by you being in your heart, holding trust and embodying that fifth dimensional new earth frequency, now, in the now moment, it helps humanity cross that fourth dimensional bridge that we are seeing them all on, and to step into the fifth dimension, to step into the new earth grids. This helps dismantle the corruption. This helps shorten that timeline so this whole shenanigans scenario that humanity is in doesn't draw out for months and years. The more people that hold that new earth frequency, the faster it'll go. Okay, so star seeds are here light workers are here, our way showers are here on this earth at this time, ushering in the golden age. In that golden age reality, by being that, by feeling what's available to us, by anchoring that light, by holding that light and anchoring it down into earth. And do whatever you got to do to continue to call in light, to continue to ground deeply down into earth, so that you don't get super wobbly as things continue to intensify, because they are going to continue to intensify. Okay? So limit your exposure to the truth-seeking topics, limit your exposure to the political topics, limit your exposure to what's going on in the world outside of you, because it's just designed to keep you from fully stepping into your power, fully stepping into your magic, and anchoring and holding and being that light that you came here to be. Okay? So I want to tell you a little story. Last month, probably about 3 weeks ago now, my husband and I traveled to Greece, to Corfu Island. And Austria and Greece had a free flow agreement that there was no need to quarantine on either side. And this was before we went into lockdown. And, you know, we had held off on traveling because, I mean, we travel usually 5, 6, 7 times a year. But this year, we held off on traveling because we didn't want to book a trip and then have it get canceled because that country went on lockdown and so forth. So anyways, we were watching this trip for quite some time before we ended up booking it. We booked it last minute. And there were so many factors that could have gone sideways. You know, our dog sitter that came here and stayed for the week with our dog, if her work went under quarantine, she wouldn't have been available to puppy sit our dog, and then we wouldn't have had a backup sitter. Okay? If, say, the country went on lockdown, we could have been stranded in Greece, or we could have had to come back home and do a quarantine, which would have impeded my husband from going back to work. There was all sorts of different factors. In the airports, they also are doing like random COVID swabs and random temperature checks, which if your temperature is high for whatever reason, you would have been pooched, right? You would have had to been like isolated for 2 weeks and so forth. So there was like all of these factors. Okay. But leading up to the trip, I was very intentional with setting the intention that this was completely gridded by light. My guides and my teams were protecting it. We were going to have a beautiful time in Greece. Everything was going to be smooth sailing in the travels, and everything was going to be smooth sailing with my dog sitter. And throughout our actual trip, like through the actual travel aspect, yes, you have to obviously wear your mask on the train and the plane, but neither of us were randomly chosen to do the COVID swab or the temperature check. I just blanked there. And same with on the way back. There was we weren't part of the ones that got randomly tested. And when we were in Greece, halfway through, we did receive an email from our airline saying that we would have to quarantine for 2 weeks when we got back. And we're like, WTF, did things change? Like, what's going on? So we ended up calling the Austrian embassy, and the Austrian embassy had said, no, you don't need to quarantine. The airline basically does that to cover their own asses so that we don't sue. So basically the airline had said in this email that we had to sign a form agreeing that we were going to have to self-quarantine for 2 weeks when we got back. And we were really, really resistant to this because my husband was supposed to be going back to work, Anyways, we just watched that timeline just dissolve when we called the embassy. Embassy said no. And when we went through the airport, nobody even asked for this form. So once again, it was just dissolved. There was another thing that came up that the airport in Corfu was going to be going on airstrike on the Sunday and Monday. We were supposed to fly out on the Monday, which could have completely canceled our flight. Once again, we just watched that timeline dissolve. And when we actually got to the airport, there was like no talk at all that there was strikes or anything. So basically what I'm saying to you is that because we were just stayed in a place of trust, stayed in a place of anchoring ourselves in love, anchoring ourselves in these new earth frequencies, just trusting that we are sovereign and that all these like possible timelines weren't going to play out, we watched them dissolve. Even when we could have gotten pulled aside to do a random COVID swab or whatever, they just dissolved and dismantled in front of us. And so it was really beautiful to just walk through the world and watch how like the 3D timelines were just dissolving and not sticking, you know? And that's because we were operating from a higher frequency and just trusting that it's not going to affect us. It's not, you know, everything is working out in the best possible case scenario. And that phrase, everything is working out in the best possible case scenario, I say often. I say it all the time. I say it multiple times a day. I bless everything. Everything is working out in the best possible case scenario. And it does. And it does. So we could have spent so much time worrying about the what ifs and should haves, would haves, and all that, which would have put energy into that possible timeline of expanding it, which would have made it more likely to unfold. Right? But because we put no energy into worrying about the possible outcomes, and we just stayed in a place of trust and trusting that we're protected and that we're sovereign, nothing happened, you know? So this is kind of how we need to operate right now, is just staying in our sovereignty, trusting in our power, and just knowing that what we do have control of is our frequency. What we do have control of is our connection with God, with Goddess, with our guides. What we do have control over is how much light we're anchoring, and remembering that this is what we came for, is to anchor light. Okay, so let's unplug ourselves from the fear consciousness, the enslavement consciousness, the poverty consciousness, the consciousness of COVID. Let's just watch ourselves literally unplug our minds, unplug all of our chakras from it, you know, pull our cords back to us, and visualize ourselves plugging into the new earth golden grid of abundance, of love, of peace, of equality, of joy, of creativity, of harmony, of Christ consciousness, of union consciousness. Because that is the future that I'm rallying for. That is the timeline that is unfolding. That is my reality now. And I mean, I do know people now in my personal life who have been diagnosed with this COVID, but even someone that's very, very close to us that is in their late 80s, but she's asymptomatic. I think I said that right. She's not showing any symptoms even though she's tested positive, you know? So, and the people that I do know who have had it have had very minor fever or chills and so forth. And I'm not saying that this germ isn't real. It is real, but it's how much energy are you feeding into the fear of it, which is expanding the fear and expanding the consciousness of it, right? So how we get, New Earth is already here, but how we pull that timeline in, that template in, is by holding the frequency, holding the light, holding the trust. And yes, we're going to wobble. Yes, we're going to wobble. But the more that we tune in to that grounding and that pillar of strength and remembering who the fuck we are and what we came here for, the less we wobble and the faster we can help usher in the new earth templates that are available to us, the faster that we can help them grid in so that all of humanity can experience them. Okay? So, you know, my work very much the last few months has deepened into being more womb-centered and, you know, helping women really reclaim their power, reclaim their magic through the portals of their womb so that they can show up and do what they came here to do as priestesses, as light workers, as healers, as, way showers. And so we're seeing so much of a shift on the planet right now because the Kundalini energy of Gaia, of Earth herself, is raising. And if you've ever gone through a Kundalini awakening yourself, you will know that surge of that feminine, pure source energy that surges through you, she will eat up and dissolve any density, any stagnation, anything that is not in alignment with love, which can be a pretty intense purging process, right? And so the Kundalini energy of the planet is raising and awakening and activating. And so as she surges through these different layers of dimensions, she is clearing out, eating up, dissolving anything that is not in alignment with the highest unconditional pure source love. Okay? Which is why obviously we're seeing such chaos in a sense. So with this Kundalini energy, this is why there's been the rise of the feminine energy. This is why you see more women talking about their feminine radiance, their feminine magnetism, their connecting with their womb spaces, reclaiming the magic of their cycle. You know, the goddess energy is online. She's in full force, and she's coming back up because she wants to heal and nurture this planet into a better place, into a more harmonious place. And with that comes an activation for the masculine to go into his own healing, right? And so a few months ago when I believe I was in a shamanic journey, and I saw this visual of, you know, the dance of the masculine and the feminine within us. And so when you look at basically like the feminine energy, if you look at her, she's like this beautiful, sensual goddess type energy, and the masculine is there to protect and cherish her and provide for her. So what I saw was like this woman and a man, and it was representing the masculine and the feminine within us. But I saw this woman like basically holding a man's hand and like dragging him. She was walking backwards, and she was like dragging him into the jungle because she wanted to make passionate love with him inside the jungle. And it's like this beautiful, flirtatious, laughing, sensual experience. And so she's like, come hither, come with me, you know, let's go into the trees, let's fuck. And she's walking backwards, but he has her hands, and he's still like guiding her to make sure she doesn't hit the trees or like get scratched up by, you know, the leaves and stuff, because she's walking backwards. So she's kind of like walking blindly, but her energy is what's leading it. She's like, come with me, you know, this is all sensual, this is all sexual, this is all flirtatious, you know. And so this is kind of what we are doing, is that as the rise of the feminine is coming up, you know, the tyranny templates that have overlaid the planet, that have kept the planet enslaved and in poverty and so forth, they're lifting and shifting. And so what we're doing is we are lifting the frequency of humanity. We're lifting the veils by embodying that feminine frequency of fun, of play, of flirtatiousness, of sensuality, of pleasure, of bliss, of creativity. And so it's like we're leading the masculine up. We're calling him up. But at the same time, the masculine is going through his own journey where he's learning how to ground and protect, like as he's shifting out of those tyranny templates and out of that wounded warrior energy, he's learning how to still be that like direct penetrative king sword to still protect humanity, to protect the planet, to protect the women and the children and so forth, right? So we're kind of like initiating the masculine through his journey by us embodying that feminine frequency, by us, you know, celebrating the fact that New Earth is here. Even if you look around you, you're like, oh, I don't know about that, Mary. I don't know if New Earth is here, but it actually is here. It's just a frequency you tap into. So let's celebrate. The more of us that celebrate the fact that New Earth is here, you know, that New Earth templates are available to us. The more of us that celebrate it, it's like the feminine flirting and bringing the masculine into the tree so they can come into union. It allows the masculine to basically go through his own healing so that we can, as humanity, come into that new earth, come into the fifth dimension, right? So how can we like bring more pleasure, more joy, more grace, and more fun into our lives in such a time? Because this is such a polarized time, which makes it so vital for us to be tapping into our pleasure states every single day. Otherwise, we get swampy in our energy. Our nervous systems just get jacked with everything that's going on around us, and we can really go into depressive and anxiety-ridden states. And so by us cultivating that space to go into pleasure states, to really take care of ourselves, to really take care of our nervous systems, it helps elevate that frequency of that feminine dancing and playing and like calling the masculine forward, right? So I mean, I had said this to a friend the other day, and I'm going to share it with you. I had said, you know, if you just need to smoke a blunt and rub one out, Do what you gotta do, babe. And it's so true. I mean, like, I think that in spiritual communities and the conscious communities, you know, we have it's almost like we have this level of perfection that if you're not starting your day out with green juice and yoga and breath work and, you know, you're eating 100% clean and you're spending an hour in meditation, then you're doing it wrong. And you know what? I think that I have given my own power away to that idea in the past, which has stolen my own ability to tap into pleasure during those times of my life. You know, like I would feel like I had to achieve a certain level of spiritual enlightenment in order to be able to tap into next levels of abundance and whatnot. But really, it just left me feeling like I wasn't hitting the mark. And so once I started giving myself permission to sleep in, to have a glass of wine, to eat my chocolate, to bake cookies, which have sugar and gluten in it. Yes, I mean, my face, I get acne breakouts when I'm not being super great with my nutrition. But you know what? We're human. We're here to have a human experience. And what brings me joy is once or twice a week, I'm going to have a glass of wine. I'm going to watch some Netflix with my husband. What brings me joy is dancing around my kitchen in my underwear as I bake cookies and eat the cookie dough. You know, what brings me joy is going into a pleasure portal every single morning where I light candles and I self-pleasure and I sensual dance and I do orgasmic breath work. That brings me joy. What brings me joy is 10 to 20 minutes of meditating every single day. But what does not bring me joy is sitting on my meditation pillow for an hour. That doesn't bring me joy, and so I'm not going to do that. So what I'm trying to say is that do whatever you got to do that makes you feel good right now. You know, really take care of your body. Take care of your nervous system, unplug regularly from social media, from technology, be in earth. Earth holds our medicine, and listen to what you need. You know, practice doing that beautiful sensual self-touch with yourself, reminding yourself that you're alive, reminding yourself that every cell of your being, you hold the goddess. You hold the nectar of your goddess, and that is our power. Is remembering that we are pure source consciousness, remembering that we are goddesses in living form, remembering that we are here to hold the light, to be the light, to anchor the light, and to assist in the shift that humanity is in right now. And that means that in order for us to be able to hold higher states of light, be able to hold expanded states of love and light, that means we do things that we have to make pleasure and joy and bliss and play a priority. You know, otherwise we're going to be depleted and we're going to just be wondering like, WTF, why did we sign up for this? We're here in a human experience to enjoy this. You know, and let's not feel guilty of having fun and receiving joy and being playful when there's a lot of suffering on the world, a lot of suffering around us right now. But giving yourself permission to be playful, to have fun, to be silly, to be joyful, to do things that bring you happiness, to do things that relax your nervous system, that is healing the collective. That is rippling out through the grid around you. Okay? Do not allow yourself to feel guilty to be happy during this time. And we're going to go through waves. I feel like I go through waves of joy and then heaviness all within a day. You know, like it's just part of the purification process that we are in. We will feel the density as we release it. We will feel the density and heaviness as our body releases that stagnation and does clearing for the collective. We will feel it. But we also will feel expanded bliss states, expanded pleasure states, if we give ourselves permission to tap into them. Okay, so may we magnetize and call in and invite the highest possible timeline for humanity to come in, because it's here and it's available and it's inevitable. It's already done. We're just seeing the physicalization of it now, even though it doesn't look like it, but we actually are. We actually are. So let's celebrate the arrival of the new earth because it's here. It is here, baby. So I want to let you know that right now I'm opening up mentorship opportunities to mentor with me privately one-on-one. So who I specifically work with, it's a collaboration, is starseeds, priestesses, witches, light workers, just intuitive women that know that they're here for a reason, that they want to bring their sacred work out into the world, even if they don't quite know what that looks like yet. Who are struggling with playing small, who are struggling with giving their power away to outside factors, to the media, to witch wounds, to priestess wounds. Just they're playing small and they know it. And they know that they are here to anchor light, to be light, to share their light and their creative projects out into the world, but they just can't seem to get out of their own way. So if that is you, let's chat. If you're seeking mentorship support, I am opening up my mentorship containers for the rest of the year. And I'm not a business coach, but I'm more so of an alchemist in the divine feminine healing arts that will mentor you in reclaiming your power and reclaiming your magic and your feminine radiance and magnetism so that you can show up and do what you came here to do. So I'm going to leave it on that note. If you feel like this really, really served you, share it with a sister. And I also want to invite you to join the Sacred Sheep Hack group on Facebook. It's a very, very beautiful sisterhood in which, we're all on this journey together. So I'm sending you so much love, and I'm just reminding you, you are here for a reason. You were positioned wherever in the planet that you were positioned for a reason, because your specific energetic field holds codes and holds medicine and wisdom from your ancestors within this life, ancestors from the stars as well, that serves the grid of Gaia with where you are. It serves the collective with where you are. So it's just a matter of us just really holding that light and trusting that the highest timeline is unfolding for humanity. So I'm wishing you so many blessings, and I love you. Thank you for listening.